Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Temple Hayes podcast, On Fire for Life. Well, this time we went after the guy that's on fire for life. Actually, his website is Alchemical Flame. So he is fire. He is shaman. He is electrifying energy. Ofer Niv. Ofer, thank you for being with us today. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Temple. Very nice to be here.
Well, my show over 18 years has shifted different names. It started out from good to amazing, and then it evolved to the intentional spirit. And with everything going around, and that, it's not like a new thing, but with just the energy in my own life, it's like the statement that Howard Thurman made about stop asking what the world needs and ask yourself what makes you come alive. So to me, life is fire. It's energy. It's that, root chakra being all lit up with passion. And I'm just delighted that you are here. Thank you for coming on board with us. And I'll just jump start us a little bit because, and this is one of the taglines, I think, for people are, do you know people that have immense discord or dis-ease, right? And those kind of things, because your journey started, well, it's always been going, but a measurable part, a defining moment, we would say, was in 2011, yes?
Yes, started many years ago, the journey. Well, started many lifetimes ago,
Of course, yes.
uh, but yeah, in 2011 is when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, MS for short, and and then I was in the height of a corporate role with a big bank, and I was doing very, straightforward, normal kind of things.
Hmm.
And when you're told, this is not going to get better, and at best you can manage it, but it's likely to deteriorate over time. I knew that this is the time for me to start looking at something else.
Did
And so
you,
I,
Ofer, was it your first encounter of a third kind of like something invading your body? Did it, I
no,
understand it didn't resonate with you, but were you shocked or did you believe it?
I was shocked, and there was an element of depressed feeling too,
Mm,
because of the infinity of it, and because this is what I was used to, that life is the finality of it, I meant to say. And that's what I used to, that life is final, and when it's done, it's done, it's over, everything is over.
hmm.
And I don't have, in my growing up, I don't have religious background. And so, and so for me, it was, what am I going to do? I had thyroid cancer before. The thyroid was removed. This is no longer a problem. In fact, I was told, if you gotta have cancer, this is the easiest one to have.
Okay.
And so and that was 10 years prior, and I was sort of coasting after that. And when that came, I just knew, okay, it's the second time. So the first time I didn't listen, the second time, I really have now to listen
Mm-hmm.
and do something different. And I started to listen to all sorts of wisdom teachings, spiritual teachings, starting with, very, very known, famous, let's say Deepak Chopra.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I listened, the more I discovered also other voices, and I ended up just learning a lot about many facets of my life, and discovering how so much that I thought is going well, or is that's what it is, it's actually not what it is. It's like almost like everything that you see with your eyes, everything that you feel, it's only on the surface. And so it was really a journey into discovering that underneath, we in the shamanic realm, you can say everything is energy. So everything is frequency, everything
Mm-hmm.
is energy, everything is the vibrations. And when you learn that that's the case, and then everything can change when you change the frequencies of your vibrations.
Hmm.
And that's what I learned to do. But I had to go before that through a lot of disillusionment because I had this engineering mind. I was involved
Sure.
with information technology, and for me it was really hard initially to even get into this. And I became a believer because I've seen the results. I mean, today I don't have symptoms. I'm not on medications. Last year I was told I no longer need, the annual MRIs, and so
Mm.
I'm I'm feeling this this is certainly a different way to live, and it's not even about the disease. I mean, what is a disease? Is it something that is attacking us, or is it just a manifestation of our, I'll use again the word vibration, but is it a
Hmm.
manifestation of a certain level of vibration that you're carrying inside? And you can also ask, is this vibration loving or not? And that's a key.
It's very powerful, and what a message, and one that is so important, to be, putting out there right now. And in that particular light, for me, I haven't had those things yet. I had another disease that kills a lot of people called alcoholism, and I had TMJ.
Mm.
So, and I know the TMJ, well, probably both, but I mean, they're definitely from other lives, and coming back to change my mind about it or whatever. But the point I'm making and what I'm hearing from you is the thing that helped me the most, and I feel would help a lot of people, is that when something like this shocks us and we get a diagnosis or we get a symptom, it's part of our surviving, but it's also part of the lower vibration that we start feeling you're against me. How did you get to be against me? Disease, whatever you are, TMJ. I can't believe that this is happening and you're against me. Um, and once I was able to shift that around to how are you for me? And that's what I'm hearing from you. And I think that's a strong distinction for people. It doesn't mean that you run around and you have bumper stickers on your car going, I have this and I'm so happy. But you carry a different vibration about the healing and moving on the other side of it. Does that resonate with you?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Especially the idea that things not necessarily happen to us, but for
Hmm.
us
Hmm.
is very powerful. And like you say, it doesn't mean that everything is great. It doesn't mean
Right.
that everything that happens to us is great. It just means that we can, because we have willpower, we can always take responsibility,
Hmm.
at least for feeling our feelings, determine what is, as opposed to what we would want it to be.
Hmm.
And it's really important to know what is. I mean, I like a definition that I got from Cyndi Dale, who I teach with, and I love as a spiritual teacher. The difference between an illusion and a delusion.
Hmm.
And illusion is where, let's say you have a dream and a dream is possible. It is a possibility. It's something that could
Hmm.
come true, where a delusion is something that is more like wishful thinking, but it's not something that you want to put a lot of energy in it because it's just going to take you into places are that are not supporting you. Usually, a delusion comes from also from I would say from an egoic place. It's more like what our ego
Hmm.
wants, whether what happens when you try to align with your divine nature and see what is really in the highest for you.
Hmm.
And so yeah, the what I'd like is to have to use my imagination on the side of the illusion, saying what is possible, what is my highest need, and let that come. And it can be in healing and it can be in manifesting, which are two sides of the same coin.
Hmm. I love that. And in my own journey, the distinction I make is the difference between my personality and the path of my soul.
Uh-huh.
And, and surrendering to show me the way, what is the way, how does this look, and allow me to not be into the illusion or the grandiosity of what I think it's supposed to be or what we're taught it's supposed to be. I mean, who knew that people would measure their worth by how many likes they have on social media? Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm learning that. I'm learning that I'll say that a lot of the things that I teach, I am also a student of
Oh, yeah.
still. And I'm learning the importance of, as you say, surrendering.
Hmm.
Because until you surrender, you don't necessarily get to see the the better the better picture of you
Hmm. Hmm.
until you surrender, because you have this expectation and then you get attached to these expectations, and you're sort of locked in, and then no matter what, you don't let go. And what happens is we're missing opportunities that presents to us all the time in every corner. We don't
Hmm.
see them because we see only the thing that we want to see. And that leads us into places that sometimes we get to exactly what we wanted, but it's not what we really needed, right? I
Yes.
mean, we
Yes.
said if I just could have this thing, or if I could have this job, or if I could live in this place, or if I could have this relationship, and then you get there and it's like, I don't even know why I wanted that,
Hmm.
because it was not really we're creators, but
Yes.
when we work this way, when we decide from the small self what it is that we want, um, when we get there, we don't really operate from we're creators, so we create what we want. We have the intention. We know that we have this beautiful technique. What is it called? It's a technique. You focus on what you want, and you get what you
Hmm.
want, because the universe
Hmm. The law of
conjures whatever.
attraction or
Yeah, the law of attraction.
manifestation or, and
Right.
it's interesting in living in that realm for, all my life and obviously all of yours and others. It usually implies something outside of ourselves. We're
Yeah.
getting something, or it's another person, or it's a thing, or it's a material or accomplishment or trophy or whatever. And yet there is an immensity to be talking about the manifesting, accepting, just sitting and being. I'm coming out of a phase of that right now, just sitting and being. And it's when you fill up your well again, it's vulnerable, especially when we identify ourselves a certain way, or we're known for activity or, certain energy. But yet to surrender to that is so beautiful. Now, you were saying that you teach, and I'm right there with you. I mean, I can only teach what the best student of, or what I'm engaged as a student of. But do you teach online or do different programs, or what are you up to now?
So one thing that I do as far as teaching is I am co-teaching with Cyndi Dale.
Mm-hmm.
She has a course on the Shift Network. The Shift
Okay.
Network is a place with all sorts
Mm-hmm.
of spiritual classes, and so uh, I teach a part of her class about advanced, what is it called? It's a certification in energy healing. I don't remember
Oh,
exactly what it's
good.
called.
Yes.
And it teaches a lot about working with your chakras, but it's way more than that. And so I love teaching that because I love these teachings. These are wisdom teachings.
Hmm.
And I've seen on your Facebook something that was talking about wisdom and understanding
Hmm.
and something else. And immediately I locked into it because wisdom and understanding. There is the Kabbalistic tree of life, and wisdom and understanding are two spheres at the top of the tree.
Hmm.
So it immediately resonated. But I just love these wisdom teachings. As far as me teaching the alchemical flame, there is a class that is coming up in February,
Okay.
and what it'll teach is the concept of what alchemical flame is, how it works, and then because alchemical flame works through several realms, what I call realms, the realms of the heart, the shadow, the magical,
Mm.
the unknown, and the divine. I'm taking the students every week through a different realm to see what it does, what kind of aspect of the healing you get through that realm. And I can give you examples, but then we end up with the divine realm, which is just a nice way to move through and beyond the duality and see how it all comes together.
And that's at your website, alchemicalflame.com. And it will also be in the description on YouTube and on social media for you to look up. But give us an example. You stepped in there.
Yes.
So give us an example. Talk about one, for example, and everyone can go on and sign up on your website. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
It is now available.
Okay.
And
Very good.
again, it starts in February, but there is an early bird pricing for it
Okay.
until I think mid-December or something like that. And for example, what I work with, because I work one-on-one with as a shamanic healer, and also through groups. So, for example, I have bi-weekly, and that's free. I have bi-weekly group journeys that I
Mm-hmm.
provide every other Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific. And in this, we work with an element of the alchemical flame process. So,
Mm.
for example, one journey would be just introduction to what it feels like to feel the divine spark in you, then grow this divine spark into a flame. It's, by the way, not burning, but
Mm-hmm.
this flame is transformational. It's healing, and it really is applied then as we move through different realms into whatever the realm presents. So, for example, let's say that we have a trauma. You know what? I can just take a specific example. So, let's say that I work with somebody that has an emotional issue. They're depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they'll come to me and say, I don't have energy. I just every day I just don't have the energy to go through the day. What can I do? And usually I will start with, so what does it feel like? I like feelings
Mm-hmm.
because they are like doorways into the core um, energetic reason for the issue. And
Sure.
it also shows the pathway to where to go with the healing for that. And so what do you feel? What do you feel when you say, I have no energy? Just sit in your body and tell me, what does it feel like emotionally? Does it feel like sadness? Does it feel like anger? What does it feel like? And usually that feeling, that initial feeling is on the surface. There's actually something underneath that you haven't gotten yet to.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe you'll start with, I really feel like I'm impatient. I'm really angry about all this. I'm frustrated. And then when you sit in that frustration and you feel what's coming up, maybe sadness will come up. And that comes from a different place because that tends to come from more unconscious place that the first feeling that you felt. And maybe we'll go even deeper, just feel that feeling and
Sure.
see what else comes up. And eventually we'll go to the dominant feeling that I want to go after, and that'll show me. So maybe it'll show me, this feels like maybe you feel like you're not loved. Maybe you feel like you're not loved. And so that'll show me, okay, so we're going to start with the realm of the heart. And we'll just, with our imaginations, we'll literally go through a portal into the realm of the heart, which I sometimes call the sacred space of the heart. And we'll see what's going on there. And maybe we'll discover that there is a set of beliefs that are leading us to the emotions and feelings that we have, and the beliefs are very limiting. It's a belief about yourself. Maybe you have a belief, for example, I think this is always a belief that at the core of all limiting beliefs is feeling disconnected from creation, feeling disconnected
Mm-hmm.
from the divine,
Mm-hmm.
not being able to connect. So, but we will get into a limiting belief, or we will get into a very dominant negative emotion that follows you throughout the day. And when you have that all day long, you will feel like you have no
Mm-hmm.
energy, just too much. And it's
Mm-hmm.
exhausting. We will start clearing that energy. That's a shamanic term, energy clearing. So we will clear the energy, and we'll probably clear it with the alchemical flame. So I'll teach you how to use your flame to somehow uh, move around these, whatever it is that needs clearing. Because I'm just giving an example. There are like 100
Sure.
things that could be,
Absolutely.
and we'll let it either transform. Sometimes we remove it out of the body. Sometimes it just dissolve. So whatever the process needs to be, it'll happen, and then something else will come up. And maybe there's gonna be, okay, now I start to feel the trauma. Now, something deeper starts to come up. And so we'll go into the shadow realm, and we'll go after something that happened maybe early in life, maybe in past life, maybe even not in my life, but in my ancestral
Mm-hmm.
life. So there is a family pattern that is going on in every generation. It feels like a curse. It's like, how can we break the curse? Well, maybe many times we find out that when we do find something that is really core for that family, for that ancestral line, we'll we'll resolve it for you in whatever way we end up doing it. It'll actually resolve it for the previous generations too, and so
Oh,
you're not only
yeah.
helping yourself, but it's like you're circling back to your ancestors, and it goes backwards, it goes forward. It is really nice, but we will clear energies, and most of it can be done, especially for self-healing, with this powerful tool, with the alchemical flame. For self-healing, it's always available. It's always easy to get into. And when you place anything that you need to dissolve in the alchemical flame, it will get dissolved. So it's also simple to learn and to do. And that's what I like about it. It's the simplicity. When I
Mm-hmm.
work one-on-one with people, maybe I'll make it a little more complicated. And I many times I just let the divine do the work, and I don't even need to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I get the feeling or the knowing that I'm actually asked to do something, and so I'll go do it just because that's a job that I got.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is it that we say sometime? One of the um, false beliefs or illusions, as you mentioned earlier, is the belief that two beliefs. One is, I get this often with recapitulation or soul retrieval, is the prejudging because it was so simple. How could this work?
Right.
Well, because it's a billion years old, I guess, because it just does. But it's so simple. So how does that work? And so there's that, or the fundamental belief that it has to be hard. It's like, well, it wasn't hard. So did I earn it? Did I deserve it? Oh, did I, have to climb the mountain all by myself? It wasn't hard. Can I accept that, it is what it is? And
Yeah.
yes, do
It's really
you?
interesting, these patterns, when a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, when, entire cultures, populations, or the entirety of humanity feels something very strong, then
Mm-hmm.
as you say, it could become a false belief, but it's so strong that it's just there. It's real.
Yeah. Yeah, like COVID. Um,
Exactly.
like COVID, and I'm only talking about it with current terms. I'm aware of what some of the COVID dynamic was, but it's like people
I mean,
go,
I
"Oh,
had COVID,
uh-huh,
but I also know I know exactly what you
uh-huh."
mean. It's what it actually is and what we made of it.
Right. And what we're told it will continue to be.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and I know this is part of the work you do, and this is the part that I'm so strong about is there's not one size fits all. And if we are responding because someone told us to, the preacher said, the doctor said, the friend said, the wife said, the husband told me to, the Bible told me to, the Quran. If I'm in alignment and listening to what I was told to do, and it doesn't resonate here, and that's what I love about the shamanic work. I love this work that we have the privilege to be a part of because we are bringing out, drawing out, allowing student, person, whatever, master that's in front of us to draw out their own imagery, their own solutions, their own, this fits me. And that's the real turn on for me because what it means to me, Ofer, is it's lasting. It's lasting. And on the other hand, it can drive people around you crazy because they'll go, "Are you doing this? Mm-mm. You're not doing this? Well, everybody else is doing this. Are you doing it? No. Why aren't you doing it? I don't know. The facts say, the statistics say, it's like, doesn't feel right. It won't work for me. And I long for the day that more people stand and say, there's not one size fits all. My inner listening is my alchemical flame. I know that's what you're about, obviously, but for the purpose of other people listening, unless it fits for you through muscle testing, intuition, dreams, a knowing, the odds aren't good that it's going to work.
And I'm going to simplify it even more. The way
Good.
I see it is
Yes.
that the healing modality is not as important as we tend to think because there are
Hmm.
like a million healing modalities.
Talk about it. Let's go there.
And
Talk
eh,
about it.
yeah,
What do
I
you
mean,
mean by that?
there is, let's say, Reiki, and there is shamanic work, and there are
Hmm.
different ways of shamanic work because I learned something that is more modern. For example, I didn't learn, the ritualistic kind of
Hmm.
work, but something more modern. There is energy medicine, there's tapping, there's a million things that you can do with energy.
Hmm.
And my what I feel is true for me is that when one heart connects to the other heart, both hearts receive the healing. However that
Mm.
happens, but that's what opens it up, and then all the rest
Wow. Hmm.
it's like all the rest is really helping, but it could be different techniques, and as long as you exactly what you said, as long as you feel this technique resonates with you, this technique works for you, then go with it. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter.
Hmm. I love that. So you're defining, It's the power of validation, isn't it? Because when you're connecting with someone's heart, at least that's what I've found on my own journey. If
Yeah.
there's a level of validation, oh, it could be it's that because of that. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking or feeling. Then it's like the healing has already happened.
Yeah, and I love in that context, there's a lot of talk about it, but I love in this context A Course in Miracles
Oh, yeah.
because because everything is in the heart. So when you connect with another heart, it's like you discover that you're actually not separate. You discover
Hmm.
that you're one. As that book says, and I'm actually Jewish. I just love this.
Hmm.
I didn't grow up religious, but I just love these teachings that when one person heal the other person, what happens is one person is temporarily has more in terms of love, has the
Yeah.
capacity to receive more temporarily, and the other is their equal, but temporarily they have less. And so one is helping the other. And another time it could be the other way around.
Hmm.
So we're approaching from two equal hearts that just communicate, and one helps the other, and they both have the same because they are the same, because
Yes.
they are at some level one.
I love that. So this chapter of your life, and through the years, so you're not a banker anymore.
Oh no.
You're
I
teaching
retired.
people real substance.
Yeah, speaking of COVID, I retired during COVID, and
Mm,
it really didn't fit me anymore because when things started to change, I think it was the end of 2021 when people started coming back into the office.
hmm.
For me, it was like, no, I'm not going to drive an hour or an hour and a half to go to an office. And there is something else so I've been doing energy healing at that time for 8 years. And at the same time, I was still doing my job as, senior manager in the bank. And I was like, there's definitely things that I brought from just studying and learning to be a healer to the people. If we could just bring more kindness into the corporate world, things would be so much different. And
Hmm.
so it's not that I was suffering, but I just decided it's really time to focus on learning, on helping more people, on starting to teach, on doing more and more and more. And so at that point, I also already worked with, hundreds and hundreds of people, and I knew that I loved it, and I knew that I got great feedback from people that I worked with, and it was like, yeah, why not just do this? Because
Hmm.
it brings me joy. And so that's what I've done. But for so many years, I mean, I've been with the bank for 40 years,
Wow.
and so for so many years, I was on a completely different track. Sometimes you do need this, universe hitting you with a 2x4 in the head and saying, okay, it's time to change. You didn't listen,
Hmm.
so now you're
Hmm.
going to get it hard in a harsher way and deal with it now. And that's what
Hmm.
I had to slow down and never looked back, really. I loved it. I have to
That's
tell you,
wonderful.
so I studied for 1 year all the aspects of healing, relationships, work, abundance, physical health, everything, and it was great, but it wasn't shamanic healing. Then the last get together of this particular class, there was a shamanic healer that visited as a guest, and she's saying, and at that time I was symptom free from multiple sclerosis already,
Wait a
but
minute. We're getting some static. We're getting some feedback. We might be bringing another spirit in or something. So I'm
we
just going to
must be.
say, yeah, it's just
Yeah, how is it
now it's
now?
stopped. Now it stopped.
Okay.
But
And maybe I'll just keep my hands away from the wire.
yeah,
Uh,
I don't know, but anyway, I was really, as was everyone else, into
but
what you were
yes,
saying.
yeah,
So,
this is how things happen. Something,
hmm
you get into the real stuff and then you start getting interference. I actually have a
hmm
whole module on interferences.
Isn't that funny? That's what I was thinking. Your mind works like mine, or your heart. I was thinking, this is going with the story. That
It
happens to
is.
me often when I'm speaking. It becomes like what I'm talking about, you know. I go,
It is.
oh, this
It becomes
fits. Again,
part of the
it's not a
material.
disruption. It's not against us. It's
Yeah,
working with exactly, what you're saying. When
so true.
I know a lot of people through these last few years, including me, are changing, their direction and things they're focusing on. And you're talking about a structure. I mean, you're talking banking, you're talking real structure. And good for you that you have that, because a lot of people that don't have any of that wish they had some of that, right? But did you find it? Were you ever concerned being on those tiny branches when you go from such a structured life to like, okay, I have a blank canvas. What am I doing with my life? Was there any kind of adjustment for you, or something you had to master or take care of or experience?
It was kind of gradual for me because I ended up doing both and I was keeping them
Mm-hmm.
very separate.
Got it. Okay.
Because me, for example, talking in bank events about me doing shamanic healing, I don't think it would have gone very well.
That's right.
Although I did have some conversations with amazing people in the bank, just one-on-one,
Mm-hmm.
about this. But I was so I was in training and I had a period of training for several years. And during this time, um, I could actually, I guess, maintain some level of income
Mm-hmm.
and because I was not getting any income from the energy healing work, but I was learning it and I loved it. And so I think it worked fine. And also I feel like the timing of my retirement was divinely inspired because it was time to decide, am I going to make my life harder or not? Part of
Mm-hmm.
my lessons in this period was I am not very good at simplifying things, but that's kind of part of what I'm supposed to be doing is learn and teach how to simplify things. When
Mm.
I make it too complicated for myself, things are not working well.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've got lots of proofs for that in my
Oh,
life.
sure. Yes.
Yeah. And so yeah, I mean, there was a period of gracefully adjusting, which was really good. But I think the very first time when I was introduced to some of the concept, and I remember, for example, somebody was talking about how the powers that move the world are not the powers that we think they are. It's
Mm-hmm.
like governments
Mm-hmm.
are not, like presidents
Right.
and governments are not the ones really in charge. All that stuff. I was like, I don't want to attend this meeting because if my bank is spying on me and they find that I attend this meeting, maybe they'll fire me. So it's
Mm-hmm.
very, so I mean, I can really appreciate how fearful we are when we are um, in a group setting that is about obedience, that is about following the rule.
Mm-hmm.
It can
Mm-hmm.
be really scary to say there is another world out there. And I'm not saying that right or wrong, by the way.
Right,
It's
of
just an
course.
example of,
Yeah.
of opening up to different ways of looking at the world and be open to it. Be open to it. Don't be scared by just asking questions and then learning for yourself and see what you think. And so for me, the beginning was the hard part because I had to like make a big switch and say, suddenly everything is possible and nothing is what I thought it was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that was so in this place at the end of the first program, this shaman was there and she said, I see in front of you a part of you that is outside of your body, and it's wanting to get away from the body. It's not wanting to come in. And so right then and there, 15 people did work on me. They put me on the table
Mm,
and they did energy clearings on me. And for at least 2 weeks after that, I just felt shivers go up and down my spine. And that's when I said, I got to understand this because
mm,
it's time for me to start helping others. And I got to understand that. And so I started to take classes, and it unfolded really interesting in that I took a teacher's class before I took the student class, which was perfect for me. It was just the schedule of the classes was perfect for me because then as in the teacher class, I didn't know anything, and I had to get my ego out of the way and say, I'm going into this class with all these teachers that know everything and I know nothing, and it's going to be fine.
hmm.
And and
Absolutely.
I'm going to screw up and it's going to be fine.
Hmm.
And that's what happened, and I learned so much, and really never looked back after that. I said, I got to learn it. I just got to learn it.
I love your story. And it's such an inspiration to other people of overcoming disease, overcoming limited thinking, overcoming boxes or things with our health or, our
Yeah.
vibration or all of that. So
Yeah.
I like your style too, because you have such a relaxed demeanor you bring into your
Thank you.
awareness. And I'm sure that you um, help tens of thousands of people. I'm just knowing and affirming that for you. Are you in the author world? Or do you have an interest in that? Or are you more, not that one is better or that it can't be all those, but do you have you thought about writing a book?
It's interesting that you ask. Somebody told me that I'd write 3 books. I don't know about
Okay.
that, but about 2 weeks ago, I just decided to write an ebook.
Oh, okay.
So perfect timing. And I
Mm-hmm.
started. And the reason is I have this process. I understand how the process works. I don't think that I know anybody else that is using this process. And for me to explain it better would be nice
Mm-hmm.
to put some, so not like 500-page book, but some sort of a short ebook to explain the method and give the audience, just simple steps on what you can do to help yourself right now as you read the book. I
Mm-hmm.
think that would be really cool.
I feel it. I feel it too coming out from you. So my vote is yes.
Okay, I'll go
And
for it.
yeah,
It's
and
interesting. My language is not English, so there's all sorts of levels, layers, interfaces that I will probably have to go through to make
no,
it good. No?
mine, I tell people I'm bilingual. I teach English. I mean, I speak English and Southern. And that it's not a thing. It's really not a thing now. If you were looking at doing this 20 years ago, yeah, it would be a thing. But now the beauty of Google Doc or Microsoft products, it self-corrects. And
That's
so
true.
it says, you know what, Ofer, I don't think you mean to say the sentence that way. And you click it and it tells you the way to say the sentence. So there's no there's no block.
You
The
know, it's
path is clear and there's no interference.
it's very empowering what you say.
It's true. I wouldn't say it otherwise because it's true because I let that I'm coming from experience because I was told in dreams and visions a number of years ago to write and I just didn't feel comfortable speaking, was a process, but give me the microphone because spoken word and written word are two very different things. A lot of people don't
I
know
just
this.
discovered myself like
Hmm.
today, I was starting to write a chapter, okay?
Yes.
And so I'm like, what am I going to write? But if I'm going to write, it's going to be too formal. And so I'm just going to speak. And so I just started to speak to a microphone and recorded
Hmm.
myself. And then I'm going to transfer this into writing. And it's like I can say a lot of and ah and it doesn't matter.
Mm-mm.
It will just it will just be concise in the end after it's extracted. So
Absolutely. And I
yeah.
know a very famous writer and her writing, and she loves my writing because she says you write like you talk. And I
Hmm.
feel in those ways it's easier for the heart to get to the matter because often the written word, one goes back and reads it 3 or 4 times. And what's that sentence? What's that sound bite? How does that speak to me? But when it comes from just who you are, your essence, that's felt, by the one that is reading it.
Yeah.
Well, I find that really
Beautiful.
exciting and good
And
for
what's the name
you.
of your book?
That's a breakthrough. I have a few. Um, let's see. I was going to
But
show
there is
you.
one with something about not dying. What is that book's name?
It's When Did You Die?
When
It's,
did you die?
well, it fits with what you're saying. It really talks about my path as a shaman, from disconnected and drained to energized and impassioned. When did you die? 8 steps to stop dying every day and start waking up. And the publisher said, do you really have to put your photo on the book? And I said, yeah, because I don't want people to think I'm dying. I'm dead. I'm alive. But yeah, that's and then the book after that was being a difference maker. Tools to
It's kind of leadership.
well, it's tools to live out loud practices, and you can find it
Nice,
on templehayes.com. But
nice.
when you're ready to talk about your ebook, have Steve Allen Media, that's who you're with, right? Who are you?
Right, right.
Okay, have them get back and let's have you on again. I would really like that.
Very cool. When did you die? Is that the
Yes,
name?
yes,
It just reminds me, you probably heard this say that there are ways, it's like what happens after we die,
yes.
and there are ways to learn it before. And so you say you don't have to die in order to know what happens after you die. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right.
Yeah,
And so
that is one piece of it over. The other piece for me was, the things that we carry. You alluded to that earlier, like the Velcro. We carry Velcro of this happened and that, and
yeah.
drama or trauma or whatever. And so we're an easy magnet for more of that to come and stick on us. And so my measure was within a given day, what am I doing that I'm dying from? Not physically, energy. For me, I'm just talking energy. What am I doing that's taking my energy? And what am I doing that's giving me energy? And ultimately, deeper than any of that, what do I believe about energy? Where does it come from? We have so many established, bought into beliefs in our society about energy itself. In other words, well, I've got so much going on this week. By Friday, I'm going to be so tired. Or I got the grandkids coming over. I'm going to be worn out. These are self-imposed beliefs, you
Yeah,
know.
you remind me. I want to say something about all these layers
Good. Go
because,
for it.
yeah, because we put sometimes I call them the veils, sometimes I call
Uh-huh.
them the identities. So we put on ourselves all these identities. I'm a father and I'm a husband and I am a boss and I am this and I am that. And we lose track of who we are within
Hmm.
all these identities. And you
Yes.
can see all these identities as layers, as things we dress ourselves with, but they're really veiling the truth.
Hmm.
And
Good
so the
point.
truth is we're not all the same, right? I mean, yeah, we can say there is oneness and we're all part of the oneness, but we're also unique
Yes.
and we all bring our own strength. But instead of looking for, like you said before, the external characteristics that we want to bring into ourselves, how about finding in ourselves our inner strength that you can say you came here into this lifetime as a soul. You carry a soul purpose. For
Mm-hmm.
that soul purpose, you also bring some strength that you already accumulated probably through multiple lifetimes. And if you can discover that, and if you can empower that, and if you can bring in, if you want to bring in something external, and I say bring in the divine light to you, which is also in you, but bring that with your signature, with your inner signatures of what makes you unique, what makes you really unique, what's the authentic strength or power that you have that nobody else has in the world, because I can promise you that you have something that nobody else has. This combination, if you're not gonna learn what it is, and if you're not gonna learn how to use it, nobody else is gonna do it. It's
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's up to you,
Yeah,
up to you and your willpower.
that's beautiful. And so we say that about that ebook you're writing too.
Perfect,
It's
perfect.
up to you, and we need that
Yeah.
information. And
And I always want to find the right timing for the right pearls of wisdom to come. And it's not gonna work like that,
mm-mm,
because every time you think you are the wisest because you discovered the wisest truth about something, just wait a little bit and you'll
mm-hmm.
find something deeper. And that's how it's supposed to work. So why wait?
Yeah. Well, I tell people I have been a speaking coach for, oh gosh, 30 years. I've been speaking for 36 years, and I love the art of speaking. It's raw, it's real, it's, what's there. And yet, all these years later, if I get into my head about it and I go, I don't know what I'm going to say. And by that, I'm talking
Mhm.
when I speak repetitively in the same place. But if I go there, it's like I block. I couldn't come up with anything for anything because I get into this void of questioning and things. But if you just when we, not you, but when we go, there's something within me that is allowing this truth to come out and wants it to be spoken, then bam, it just comes. So,
Yeah, it happens to me with clients
mm-hmm,
that I see
mm-hmm,
multiple times, and it's like, how is this time going to be different? What is it that we still have to work?
right,
And if I start to go into this, I'm not gonna have any revelations. But if I just go in and let whatever present, it's usually beautiful, useful, and nothing that I was expecting.
exactly. Isn't that the truth? Oh, you've been a delight today, Ofer Niv. I'm so glad to have met you. I look forward to what happens on the journey, and stay connected, okay?
Thank you so much. It was a real pleasure.
And everyone, I want to mention again, you want to go to alchemicalflame.com. And again, it will be in the description. So find out about Ofer's teaching in February. And pretty soon, sounds like we've got an ebook coming
And
out.
the free
No pressure.
bi-weekly group journeys
Exactly.
as well.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And please take the time to share our show with others, because you never know who might be waiting on a greater truth that will change their lives and help them be on fire.